No one. No one's coming to push you. No one's coming to tell you to turn the TV off. No one's coming to... No one's coming. No one. No one's coming to push you.
With 3.
So leave my sweater on the board. Get yourself...
If this is the funeral of American TikTok, I wanted to write a eulogy, and I did so for The Guardian. And listen before you say anything. How many times in your life can you say that one of the culture-defining platforms of your era is being forcibly removed? This is what will happen to the 1/3 of American adults who use TikTok, and the other 2/3 whose lives have been undoubtedly affected by it, if the US Supreme Court upholds its ban on the Chinese-owned app, as it is expected to do on 19th January in the interests of national security. I have spent the last few years researching instances of linguicide, where authoritarian regimes have burned dictionaries or sent people to prison just for singing a song. I see alarming parallels with the dismantling of TikTok in the US, a ruthless cull of a communication tool that challenges Silicon Valley hegemony and gave the US a serving of what it is allegedly supposed to prize: healthy, full-fat competition. TikTok emerged in the late 2010s as the tool to save us from one of the great evils of social media, follow accounts. Before TikTok appeared, the main social platforms of the time, Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, heavily relied on what is known as a social graph. Content would be amplified to you based on who you followed and the existing connections between users. The social graph supported traditional celebrity and media hierarchies. If you had a familiar name or a legacy brand, you'd win followers immediately, and you would simply pattern your offline fame onto your online one. But ByteDance, the developer of TikTok, didn't focus on them. ByteDance saw all the Americans with 54 followers photographing their flat-lay brunches, their endless vlogs, their irrepressible desire to tell the world who they were, what they were doing, and what they wanted to be. First, ByteDance thought, we can sell that. The next thing they thought was, we can sell to that. Out was the social graph and in was the interest graph. Let's group people not by who they happen to be connected to and how famous they are, but instead by their interests. And let's reward creators who make interesting content. TikTok has many flaws, but few would dispute it has democratized the visual internet. It is as much the vertical video format, perfectly sized for smartphone consumption, as this interest graph that brought the app its stratospheric success. Even YouTube had never given users their own mini editing suite to make videos before. Here was an app that not only gave you the tool, but which artificially boosted your first video to give you that sweet, dopamine-laced hit of your first viral masterpiece. I should know, it happened to me. I was a very young journalist with the respectable couple of thousand following you accrue from working in the media, half self-promoting, half shitposting. I made my first TikTok and everything changed. 1,400 new followers in a day. I kept doing it and I didn't stop. This wasn't just an app for music and dancing. People were talking about the news and, refreshingly, their place in it. 5 years later, 17% of all US adults regularly get news from TikTok. It has put me in front of far more people than legacy media ever has, and I am a former BBC journalist. It has done the same for countless others, almost overwhelmingly young people who, seemingly abandoned by mainstream media, took the chance to represent themselves. I use TikTok to newsgather and raise the reach of my stories to millions of people worldwide. Authors have used it to drive sales of their books, musicians have used it to hit #1 or resurrect old hits. Practically an entire generation has used it to call for an end to atrocities in Gaza. Speak to anyone in their teens or 20s today, and every time someone enjoys a girl dinner, declares that something is giving, or spends 5 hours filming and editing the minutiae of their lives, like it's a Wes Anderson film, know that not only has part of their vocabulary and worldview been formed on TikTok, it has been formed specifically by American creators, born in the land of the free content that forever altered how we consume media. The interest graph, the short video format, and the ability to instantly react and innovate has still not been adequately replaced by YouTube or Instagram, and will disappear for US creators. The US government is taking away more than an app. It's taking away news, expertise, and ultimately influence. I would say it's the most stupid media decision of the 21st century, despite only being a quarter of the way through it, if I didn't fear worse coming from Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg. Already, American TikTok users are flocking to RedNote, an app also owned in China. With the app closed off to US citizens, those outside the country also stand to bear a somewhat unquantifiable loss. I will lose an indispensable part of my journalistic toolkit and my ability to represent global audiences. As a creator, I'll lose the daily access that has so influenced my videography and my reportage. And as a user, one of the 23 million in the UK and 150 million in Europe, it is like someone is walking into my local library and stealing half of its books before I ever had a chance to read them. If this is the funeral
I think American Republicans may have accidentally created the most banger TBR list of all time by adding all of these books to their list of suggested banned books in the US. So we're going to go through some of the ones that I own and the reason they were added to that list. Orlando by Virginia Woolf was added for discussing gender identity and freedom. Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro, ethics and personal autonomy. I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings by Maya Angelou for addressing racism, abuse, as well as political and social critique. The Underground Railroad, depictions of slavery and the journey towards freedom and justice. Animal Farm by George Orwell, political content and communist themes. A Clockwork Orange by Anthony Burgess for a critique of government control. Women, Race and Class by Angela Davis for feminism and liberation. The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde for hedonism.
Yes.
This video goes out to anyone who can speak English in any capacity, anywhere over the world. Please start making content right now, because we didn't just lose 170 million American users of this app today. We lost tens of millions of content creators, a lot of the best content creators, the people who are probably making the most popular videos on this platform. They are all gone. That is not good for this app, because we need to keep this app going if the Americans are going to come back, and there needs to be content here to keep it alive. And I'm saying right now, with all those content creators gone and there still being a demand for TikTok videos, if we want this platform to continue to thrive until, or even if, the Americans can ever come back, then the important thing now is to take advantage of this opportunity and start making videos. If you have ever thought about being a content creator, now is really the time to do it if you are still here. Because of all the millions of content creators that are gone, there are so many niches that will need to be filled now that they have unfortunately been kicked off this app. So if you have ever thought about doing something creative on this app and expressing yourself, or just wanting to see how you could succeed, I don't know, showing off a hobby or anything, please do it now. This is the time to do it. Not only is there less competition than ever before, with tens of millions of creators gone, like I just said, but it is more needed now than ever before. Because if we want to keep this app going, it needs videos, it needs creators, and there is no reason that that couldn't be you. So, for the sake of the app, for the sake of yourself, for whatever motivation you want, if you can, please keep making videos on this platform and take this opportunity, because there might not be one like it ever again. This video goes out to anyone who can speak English in any capacity.
This historic victory has been won by Palestinian resistance, by Palestinian steadfastness, and
I'll be right.
我们今生注定是沧桑，苦之我们今生。
So 99.99% of my content is about being critical of Europe, especially in the Nordics, and mostly about Sweden because I live in Sweden. And I had people ask me, why you don't post nice things about Sweden? Why you don't say...
You gotta be bad, you gotta be bold, you gotta be wiser. You gotta be hard, you gotta be tough, you gotta be stronger. You gotta be cool, you gotta be calm, you gotta stay together. All I know, love will save the day. You gotta be...
Stuvande mackar.
You gotta be bad.
Stuva.
oikean kautta takas. Hei.